class 9. Good morning everyone. So students, today we will study computer, okay? And the first chapter of the computer, that is communication cycle. Today we will study about the communication cycle. How do we communicate with each other? Alright, so let us see the contents of this chapter. So students, the contents of this chapter are communication, then features of effective communication. What are the different features of effective communication? Effective means the most useful way of communication. Alright. Then importance of communication skills. What is the importance of the communication skill? Impact of effective communication on our life. What kind of impact do we get with the effective communication in our life? Then elements of communication cycle. What are the different elements of a communication cycle? And barriers to effective communication. What are the difficulties or what are the problems that occur while communicating? That is the barriers to effective communication. Okay, so these are the contents. The first one is communication. What do you mean by communication? You will study features of effective communication, importance of communication skills, impact of effective communication on our lives, then elements of communication cycle, then barriers to effective communication. Okay, so first let us begin with communication. So students, let us begin with communication. Now what do you mean by communication first? What do you understand by this word communication? Communication means interacting with each other. How do we talk? How do we speak with each other? That is communication. Alright. So what is communication? Communication is the process of transferring or sharing of information between two or more people. It is the process by which we transfer our information between two or more people, among people. The way of the process of transferring information is called communication. Okay. It is a two-way process of reaching mutual understanding in which participants not only exchange informations, news, ideas and feelings but also create and share a new meaning. It means that it is a two-way process. Communication is always done between two people, two or more people. Now, I am communicating with you. Yes or no? I am teaching you. That means I am communicating with you through a medium. My medium is this computer or the mobile phone that you are using to listen, by which you are listening me and by which you are understanding me. This is communication. Alright? It not only share information or it not only exchange information or new ideas or feelings, but it also create and share new meaning. When you communicate each other, you not only share informations or ideas or feelings, but you also create some new meaning when you communicate with each other. Okay, for example, I say you, if you are meeting a stranger, you will not know about him until and unless you go and communicate with him. That means you go and talk to him. Yes or no? So, when you talk to that new stranger, you will create something new about him. Yes or no? You will get an opinion about him. That is communication. Alright? The scope of communication is not only limited among the people, instead it involves the whole society. Communication is not done only between two or more than two people. Communication is always based on the society. It also involves the society where we live. Now we are surrounded by many people, yes or no? And Communication is very important. Without communication, we will not be able to express ourselves, exchange ideas, or to share any kind of information among the people. Okay? Then communication is the basic need to interact and is the foundation of all human relationship. Communication is our basic need. Without talking, without communicating, how will a person live? You may have heard a proverb that a human is a social animal. We human beings, we are social animal. Social animal means we are living in a society where we are surrounded by many people. Okay, we are social animal and we cannot live in isolation. Isolation means a place where there is no one. Completely alone. We cannot live in a place or in a society where alone. We always need a person. We always need people or a society. Okay, that is why it is said that human is a social animal. They cannot live in isolation without talking, without communicating. If we do not communicate with each other, how will we share our emotions or how will we share our problems or whatever we want to speak? How will we keep it in front of the people? That is only possible when we communicate with each other. And communication builds a relationship between a human being strong. It builds a strong relationship between different people. Okay? See, we communicate every day with our family, with our teachers, with our friends. But there is a different way of communication with every people that we meet in our day-to-day life. At home, the communication medium is different. We communicate verbally with the people that we see around. Okay? We communicate in a different manner with our teachers, with our friends. Yes or no? If a teacher or your friend or some of your family member is sitting far from you, there is a medium of communicating with them. Okay? If you want to transfer or if you want to reach to a person or if you want to convey a message to some of the people that you want to, you need a medium of communication. You need to talk, you need to speak up. That is communication. Alright, I hope you understand what is communication. And students, communication is a two-way process. Let us read about it. What is the two-way process of communication? Okay? So students, as I told you that communication is a two-way process. Two-way process means if you are communicating, you also need a person who will listen to you and understand you. Only speaking up is not a communication. Only speaking up is not a communication. Now I am teaching you through a medium. It will not be a communication until and unless it reaches you and it makes you understand. Okay, here it is written, communication is not merely the transmission of a message. That means, for example, I will give an example of myself. I am teaching you right now. I am not only conveying my message to you, I am making you understand what I am trying to say. Until and unless you understand, that communication will not be fulfilled. Okay? This is how it is a two-way process. It is not only the transmission of message, but it also includes an understanding of message. Whether you are understanding or not, whatever I am speaking to you, whether you are understanding or not, that is communication. In this process, one person is the sender and he conveys a message to another person or a group of person who is the receiver. I am a person, I am trying to convey my teaching to you. You are being the receiver. I am sending you my teaching. I am conveying, that means I am sending you my teaching and you are the one who are receiving it. Yes or no? It is a two-way process. There is a sender and a receiver. I am sending you the teachings. You are sitting there and receiving whatever I am speaking to you. That means I am trying to communicate with you through a medium, and my medium is being this computer system or the mobile phone that you are using. Alright? The next point is, when the receiver gets the message, he sends back a response acknowledging the message was received. So effective communication always involves feedback from the receiver. See, when the receiver gets the message, as you are receiving my teaching, you are responding my teaching, and you are acknowledging it. How you are acknowledging it? By listening to me. You are listening to me, that is how you are acknowledging me. And you are acknowledging whether the message has been received. Okay, if someone is sending you a message, you will send a response or acknowledge that the message was received. Until and unless the receiver do not acknowledge or do not respond whether the message has been received or not, that communication will not be fulfilled. Until and unless it reaches the receiver to whom you are sending the message. Alright, so effective communication always involves feedback from the receiver. Okay, the sender which is sending you a message, he always expects or he always waits for the feedback whether the message that he has sent is being reached to the receiver or not. Okay, then an effective communication is a communication between two or more people where the intended message is successfully delivered, received and understood. Okay, this effective communication is a communication between two or more people. The effective communication, that means the communication which is useful. It is only effective when it is done between the two people where the intended message is successfully delivered. The message that you are intending, you are wanting to send to the receiver, that message is being received by the receiver or not, that is the effective communication. Until and unless the message that you have sent is not being received by the receiver, then it will not be an effective communication. Okay, and not only being received, but the message that you have been sent to the receiver must also understand it. He must also understand the message that you have sent to him. Then only that communication will be an effective one. Okay. Now let us move to the next topic, that is importance of communication skill. What are the importance of the communication skill? Before importance of communication skill, we will study the features of effective communication. What are the different features of effective communication? Okay. Communication is a meaningful process that involves a sender and a receiver. Okay, it is a meaningful process which involves a sender and a receiver. There are two people. One is sending you the message and the other one is receiving that message. While communicating, both should share a mutual accepted code, that is a common language. Now here, what is the mutual accepted code? That means you must have a common language. Both the sender and receiver must have a common language. Okay? If there is a difference between the language, the message that you have sent to the receiver will not be understood by the receiver. What you must have? You must have a mutual accepted code. Mutual accepted code means the medium or the language that you are using to send the message to the receiver must also understand that common language. It should not differentiate. If there is a difference between the language, then that message will not be understood by the receiver, and that will not be an effective communication. To be an effective communication, there must also be a common language so that it can be understood by the receiver. Okay, it should be understood by the receiver by whom the message is being sent. Alright, then a message should be clear. It should convey the right meaning to the others, and the message that you are sending to the receiver or to other person, it must be clear. It must be clearly understood by the receiver that what are you trying to say or what are you trying to convey him. Okay, it should convey the right meaning to the other. The message that you are sending, it should have the right meaning that you are trying to make them understand. Alright, then listening to others is very important aspect of effective communication. Listening is the most important aspect of communication. Without listening, the communication will not be true. Suppose I can give you an example. Suppose you are communicating with 2 or 3 friends, okay, and you miss what a person is saying in a group. That leads to miscommunication because you have skipped what a person is trying to say you. And when you skip that word or that sentence, it leads you to miscommunicate with each other. Alright, so listening to other is very important aspect of effective communication. Okay, then communication is a process in which there is an input and an output. Input means you are sending a message. Output means you are receiving the message, you are giving the feedback, or you are responding according to the message that has been sent to you. Alright, then a meaningful communication results in a response from the receiver, and a meaningful communication always results in a response from the receiver. The receiver must respond to your message that you have sent to him. Then only that communication will be a meaningful one. Else it will have no value. It will not be a meaningful communication. The communication will lack between the 2 people. There will be no communication. There will be no proper communication between 2 people if the message that you have sent to the receiver is not being responded properly. Alright? And now students, let us study about the importance of communication skill. What is the importance of communication skill? Effective communication is essential in every sphere of life. Effective communication means communication which is very useful, which is very meaningful. That becomes an effective communication. And that communication is very important in every sphere of life, be it personal, professional, or social. Personal means among yourself or between you and your family. That will be a personal one. Okay. Professional means in your working place where you are working with your colleagues. Okay. Then or social, among the society. There must be an effective communication. It is very essential in every sphere of life. Okay, we cannot speak or we cannot interpret or we cannot convey any kind of misleading message. Alright, then it includes all the aspects of visual, auditory and body language to appeal to the listener. It includes all the aspects. That means it contains all the aspects of visual. Visual means by looking also you can communicate with people. Auditory means by listening also you can communicate with people. And body language. Okay, the gesture of your body language, how you move, how you stand, what are you trying to say, that also communicate with people. Your body language also communicate, which appeals to the listener. Okay, the visual, the auditory and the body language appeals your message or appeals your message or convey your message to the listener. Okay, so this effective communication is very important in every sphere of life, whether it be personal or it be professional or it be social. And miscommunication can create a serious problem. Miscommunication can create a serious problem. It can have far-reaching consequences resulting in loss of time, money, trust and many other impacts in relationship. Okay? Miscommunication means someone is trying to convey you a message and you are getting a different message. So there will be a miscommunication. I will give you an example. A father planned an urgent trip to his son's house in another state. Okay, listen it carefully. A father is planning to a trip to his son's house who is staying in another state. Alright, he sent an email to his son. Okay, he is trying to convey or he is trying to send a message to his son that he is coming to his place. Through which medium is he using to send the message? He is using email. He is emailing his son that he is conveying his message to his son through email that he is coming to visit him. In the mail, he wrote reach tomorrow. What did he wrote in mail? He wrote reach tomorrow, which is completely wrong. Instead of writing reaching tomorrow, he wrote only reach tomorrow by mistake. Okay, there was a typing error. Instead of writing to his son that he is reaching tomorrow, he texted or he messaged his son that reach tomorrow. Here the miscommunication occurred. How? See, when the father reached his son's home, his daughter-in-law was surprised to see him because the son had already left to visit his father. From here, the father wanted to go to his son's place who is living in the another state. And how did he convey the message to his son? He conveyed him by writing an email to his son. Yes or no? But while writing, he had a spelling mistake. He had a spelling error in writing. Instead of writing reaching tomorrow's son, he wrote reach tomorrow's son. So his son thought that his father is calling him to his place. Neither he is going to his son's place. So when the father reached his son's place, the daughter-in-law was surprised to see his father-in-law in the place. How? Because the son misinterpreted that his father is calling him to his place. Alright, the daughter-in-law got confused that you called your son to your place and how come that you have reached today in my place? So this is how the miscommunication lead here. The miscommunication leaded only because of the spelling error of the message. Instead of writing reaching tomorrow's son, he wrote reach tomorrow's son. So his son got confused and his son left the place and he went to his father's place. But instead his father wanted to go to his son's place. So that is why the daughter-in-law, when she saw the father to her place, she was confused and she told that your son had already left to visit you. The daughter-in-law showed him the email which stated reach tomorrow instead of reaching tomorrow. And when the father asks that I have already messaged you that I was coming tomorrow, then the daughter-in-law showed him the message in which it was written only reach tomorrow son instead of writing reaching tomorrow son. So students, even if there is a small mistake in communication, it leads to miscommunication. Okay, here the three missing letters ing created miscommunication and a big confusion. The only three letter ing in the whole email, it created such a big confusion and miscommunication. Yes or no? Instead of receiving the message that the father was arriving the next day, the son got the message that his father was asking him to come the next day. Instead of receiving the message from the father that his father is arriving to his place the next day, he received the message that reach tomorrow son and he left his place to meet his father. This is where there was a miscommunication through the email. Yes or no? And there was only a mistake of three words, that is ing. Reaching tomorrow and reach tomorrow. This is how the miscommunication leads. Okay? That is why it is said that this example illustrates the importance of sending a message and receiving a message correctly. Through this example, what do we understand? We understand that sending a message is also important rather than receiving it correctly. Until and unless you send a message correctly, the receiver will not get that message correctly that you are trying to send him. That is why it is said that miscommunication can cause serious problems. It can have far-reaching consequences. You may not know what type of consequences there may occur, resulting in loss of time, money, trust, and also other impact of relationship. Okay, I hope you understood this. So now let us move to the impact of effective communication on our life. How this effective communication plays what are the impact of this effective communication in our life? What is the importance of this effective communication? Okay. So students, this impact of effective communication on our lives. The first point is it encourages active participation in group discussion and cohesive teamwork. What does it do? It encourages active participation. If there is an effective communication, it will encourage you to participate in a group discussion and in cohesive teamwork. When you are working with your colleagues or your members in a teamwork, it helps in communicating correctly. That is why communication, a correct communication is very important in our life. Okay? It helps in building relationship with others. If there is an effective communication, if there is a good communication between two persons, it helps in building a good relationship between the two people. Okay? Then it enables a leader to cultivate a sense of common goal among the team members and drive them to work in a spirited manner. If the communication between a teamwork, if a person is being able to make the team understand what he is trying to say, then there will be a common goal. But if there is a deflection between the communication with each other, if one is trying to say something and the other is misinterpreting and he is taking it into another way, then there will be no effective communication. He is not being able to understand, so he will not work accordingly to the member who is trying to convey a message to him. Okay, so this will lead to the imbalance in the teamwork. That is why effective communication enables a leader to cultivate a sense of common goal. That means it helps to enhance the sense of common goal and among the team member, and also drive them to work in a spirited manner, and it also groups together, or it also brings the people together to work in a spirited manner. Okay, then ability to communicate effectively builds your confidence and equips you to respond and articulate aptly in any situation. Now what does this mean? Ability to communicate. If you are able to communicate properly, then what does it do? It builds your confidence. It builds your confidence level up if you are able to communicate properly. If you are able to make one understand what are you trying to say, it builds your confidence level. And it equips. Equip means it gives you a proper speech or proper way to respond and articulate aptly. Articulate aptly means able to express your thought. It makes you able to express your thoughts, your ideas, your view to the people accurately or properly in a correct manner in any situation. If your communication skill is good, you can bring up together a team, you can work together with a team, you can make that team build up strong, okay? And you can also build up your confidence, and you can be able to express your thoughts, your views correctly in a correct manner, in a proper way. Alright, that effective communication helps in handling various conflicts. If there is effective communication, it also helps you in handling various conflicts, various kinds of problems or miscommunication that occurs between two people. Okay, one is trying to say you something and you are misunderstanding it in another way. Then there is a conflict between two people. Okay, but if there is effective communication, this type of problem, the conflicts and the misunderstanding in an organization or in society, it ends up if there is effective communication. If you are able to convey your message or your views or ideas to the person effectively, there will be no conflict and there will be no misunderstanding between the people. Alright, then effective communication saves time and reduces stress and anxiety level. If there is an effective communication, there will be no loss of time. That means you will not have to waste your time in making understand what are you trying to say, and it also reduces the stress. If a person will not understand you properly, there will be a stress among each other that you are not being able to understand what a person is trying to convey you. Okay, and then the anxiety level may raise high and there may create a conflict. Okay, then it fosters successful in professional and personal life. That means it encourages success in professional and personal life. If you are able to communicate with people properly, you will be able to success in your professional skills also, as well as your personal life among with your family, friends, or in a society. Okay, I hope you understood this impact of effective communication on our life. Okay, now let us see what are the elements of communication cycle. There is a communication cycle, and what are the different elements of the communication cycle. So students, as it is said that communication is a two-way process, a sender and a receiver, okay? But there are elements through which a message is being sent by a sender and received by a receiver. There is a medium in between, okay? As we know that communication is a dynamic two-way process, the essential elements of the communication process are: a sender needs a message to send to a receiver. Okay, the first element of a communication is message, information that is to be conveyed to a person. First you need to have a message with you. that you want to send to a receiver. The first element is message, information that is to be conveyed. Okay? Then sender, one who sends the message. Who is sender? One who is sending you the message. Then the third one is encoding. Encoding means formation of the message. What type of message is being sent to the receiver by the sender? What type of message is he sending to the receiver? Okay? The message should be in a proper way. For example, see, if I am conveying you a message by another person, he must go and tell you the exact words that I have used to him to convey you the message. If he leaves 1 or 2, 3 words in the sentence that I have told him to convey you that message, that communication will not be fulfilled. Okay? Then the next one is communication channel. Encoding means the formation of the message, what type of message you are forming. Okay? Then communication channel. Communication channel means what medium you are sending your message. Whether you are sending it through a person, whether you are sending it through an email or through a mobile phone, or you are calling him. It may be any way. Whether it be visual or auditory, anything. Now there are many different medium of sending a message. Yes or no? So that is the communication channel through which medium you are sending your message. Then comes the receiver, who is receiving the message. I am conveying you my lecture of this chapter. Yes or no? So I am conveying you this through a medium that is the computer. Okay? So you are the receiver, that you are receiving my teaching. Alright? Then comes the decoding. Decoding means the message that I have sent you, you are interpreting that message. Interpretation means you are reading that message that I have sent you. And after that, after reading the message, you must give the feedback or response to the sender that has sent you the message. Without the feedback or without the response, that communication will not be fulfilled. That will remain unfulfilled. Okay? That means if a sender is sending you a message and you will not get that response, the receiver will not respond to you, that means that message is not being conveyed completely to the receiver. That communication will not be fulfilled. Okay? So, for any message to be sent, the receiver must send you the feedback also. Alright? So, these are the elements of communication cycle, in which their first one is message, that the information that is to be conveyed. Then sender, one who sends you the message. Then encoding. Encoding means what type of message you are sending, what is the formation of the message that you are trying to send. Then communication channel, what is the medium of the message that you are sending. Then receiver, the one who is receiving the message. Decoding, that receiver is reading or interpreting, that means he is reading the message that you have sent. And the last one is feedback. After reading the message, whether he is replying you or sending you the feedback or response or not, then that will be an effective communication, or the communication will be fulfilled. Okay? So students, this is all for today till elements of communication cycle. In the next class, we will study the elements of communication cycle more briefly. Okay? How this elements of communication cycle is useful in communication. Alright. So, what did we study today? We studied about the communication, which is the process of transferring or sharing information between two people. Then communication, a two-way process. Okay, it is a process between two people or more than two people. Then features of effective communication, then importance of communication skill, then impact of effective communication in our life, and elements of communication cycle. Okay, in the next class I will continue with the second part of this chapter, studying more briefly about the communication cycle. Okay, so students, here is a pictorial diagram of a communication cycle. You can see there is a message being sent, that is encoding, then channel, that means through which medium, decoding, it is being sent to the receiver, then the receiver is decoding that message, that means receiving. Encoding means to create the message, decoding means to read that message, to open the message, that is said as decoding. Encoding means to create a message, and then the receiver sends the feedback to the sender. Okay, so this is the communication cycle. First, a message that is to be conveyed. That message is conveyed by the sender. That sender used to create the message first, then that message is being sent by a communication medium. Okay, that is the communication channel or medium, you can say, which is being sent to the receiver. The receiver is receiving the message, and after receiving he is decoding it, that means he is reading out the message, and after that he sends you the feedback or the response, or he replies you. Okay, so this is the communication cycle. In the next class we will continue with the further next topic. Okay, till then take care of yourself. See you.